Many Christians believe that they're not supposed to experience suffering in life. They believe that just because they follow Christ or follow the word of God, that they're not supposed to experience any kind of pain or go through any kind of obstacle. But if they really understood the word, they would know that to be false. You know, Christ says, whoever shall come after me shall deny themselves, pick up their cross, and follow me. And what he's saying in that verse is that if you're of me, then you're going to experience suffering similarly to the way that I experienced suffering. Expect that to be a part of this life, a part of this journey, a part of this walk. You know, we think that we're supposed to suffer less than the non-believer, but that's just not true. You know, suffering isn't always bad. Suffering increases faith, because typically when things are going good in life, we tend to fall back on I. You know, I got A's on that test because I studied hard. I make $100,000 because I put in the work, or I have the experience to earn that kind of money. We tend to forget about God when we're doing good in life. It's only when we're suffering is when we need him. It's when we fall back on him. It's when we're calling out to him for help. So suffering is usually when God is really able to show his strength and show his power, because we're totally in that moment dependent on him. So when he shows his strength, when he shows his power, it increases our faith, because we know that we didn't get out of that situation by ourselves. We know that there's nothing that we did to get ourselves out of that. We know it had to be from God. We know God had to put in the work to get us out of that situation. So we then can acknowledge him for being who he is. So typically, because of that, he likes to put us through suffering. He likes to put us through seasons of challenges, so that we can always fall back on him. We can go back to him, lean on him, become dependent on him. So then he can show us his true power, which in the end increases our faith. So because of that, we've come up with the phrase suffering leads to salvation, because it's only through suffering we then choose to acknowledge God for who he is and the part that he plays in our life. But as followers of Christ, we need to learn to acknowledge God during the good times just the same as we do during the suffering. It can't be just the suffering that we choose to acknowledge God and his power. When we're feeling blessed, when we have all the luxuries of life, all the good things in life, we still need to acknowledge God as being the one who brought that to us, who blessed us with that. You know, we can't go from being dependent on him during suffering and then independent during the good times. Oh, I don't need him now. Everything's going good in my life. I don't need him. I don't need to pray to him. I don't need to talk to him. I don't need to go to church because everything's going good in my life. What do I need him for? That's what the ego does. The ego steps in when things are going good, makes you less reliant upon him. The ego starts to tell you that you're the one who did all of this. None of this is possible without you. You start to forget God. God starts to fade into black. You know, so we have to remember that during good and during bad times, God is always at work. God is always in a part of that. Usually during the bad times, he's trying to show you something. He's trying to bring you closer to him. He's trying to bring you, back to him, because you probably strayed a little bit while things were going good. What goes up must come down, because we can't seem to acknowledge him when things are going good. So he has to humble us. He has to bring us back. Hey, I need to center you. I need to bring you back to me, because you done lost your way. You done forgot who brought you all these blessings. I mean, I've done this myself. When things were on the up and up in my life, I stopped praying as much. I stopped going to church like I needed to go. I stopped the constant communication with him, because at that moment, I felt like I was less dependent on him. I felt like I was doing good. Life was going good. So, I can pull back a little bit, but we should always be fighting for that closeness. We should always be connected to the source. We shouldn't be pulling away from it. We shouldn't be withdrawing from the source. We should always be connected. So as I've gotten older and just a lot more knowledgeable about my spiritual life, I've learned to appreciate God also during the good times as much as the bad times. I'm maybe not as emotional, I guess, during the good times as I am during suffering, which is to be expected, because during your suffering, you're super dependent on him. You need help. When things are going good, you don't necessarily need help, but you need to understand that you're blessed, and you need to be consistently and constantly giving him thanks. But we're too busy detaching, withdrawing during the good times. So just stay mindful of that. Stay connected to the source. Remember why you have the things that you have, or why you're in the place that you're in. It's because of him, because he has placed you in that position. He has blessed you. Even if it's something bad, he has also blessed you in a negative situation, but it's on you to change how you perceive what you're going through. You can look at the situation as being something negative or bad, or you can change that thought process and ask him, what are you trying to show me? What do you want me to understand? How do I get out of this? Talk to him. He really wants you to talk to him. He wants your love. That's all he wants, is your love, your attention. So if you give him that, he'll show you what you need to know during this season of suffering, so that when you come out of this season of suffering, you'll be better off than you were when you came in it. So we need to focus on staying connected to the source, or God, because just like anything electronic, it doesn't work effectively if it's not connected to some type of source, some type of power. And if we're not connected to God, we're more susceptible to fall for tactics by the devil. We're more susceptible to sinning because we have disconnected ourselves from God. You need to give your mind to God, so that when you operate in the world, you're operating in a way that he would like, in a way that Christ would act. When you read the word, you start to embody the word. You start to become more like Christ. So if you're disconnected from the word, if you're disconnected from Christ, you're not going to embody him. You're not going to operate the way that he does. So staying connected is one of the most important things you can do as a Christian. Staying connected to God, making sure that the communication is there, the love is there, and the respect to him as a father is there. But I thank you guys for checking out this video. I'm gonna have more on the way. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out.